I would like to thank Coach Sylvain for being my coach since 7th grade. He puts a lot of effort into the cross-country season and always pushes us to do our best.
I definitely want to thank Miss Brogna because anatomy and phys really helped me understand what I want to do in.
I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Cray for giving me my favorite class. It's something I always look forward to, especially intern and TV3. And then a special shout out to my friends for giving me the best friend group out there.
I'd say thank you, Mr. Cray, for encouraging me and getting me to follow something I love.
Shout out to Mrs. Pope. You know, she played a big part in my decision to major in biochem and neuroscience, and I really appreciate it.
Mr. Finley and Miss Edgar, because they speak to you like a person and not just like a student.
Yeah, thanks to the Popes for giving me an internship when all my other internships kept getting canceled.
Probably either Mr. Finley or Mr. Cray for pushing me out of my comfort zone and just making my year for classes a lot better.
Mr. Finley, because I probably would have dropped out if Mr. Finley wasn't here.
Oh, I want to make a shout out to a lot of my teachers, all of my teachers who have really been there for me and have helped me when I've needed help, who have helped me when I haven't understood something. A shout out to Miss Brogna, Mr. Lemerrier, who I've had a lot of good times with over the years. I'm really going to miss them. A lot of my science teachers, Mr. McMurray, Miss Pope, Mr. Sylvain, Miss Cronin, Miss Mishley. I've had a lot of great teachers in this school, and I'm so fortunate, so big shout out to them.
And then shout out to Mr. Rosso, great teacher, and Mr. C, love him.
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out Aaron Zhang, because right before I walked in here, he asked me for a shout out, so.
I'd like to shout out Mrs. Brogna because I feel like she's just been one of my favorite teachers. She's an awesome teacher. I like her approach to learning. I like how energetic and positive she is. I think that it's easy to lose positivity a lot of the time, but she seems to be very optimistic, and I really resonate with that. So thank you, Ms. Brogna.
All my friends, my teachers, all the coaches I've had, Mr. Antonio, Mr. C, Bill Panos. Shout out to my boy Bill.
I just really appreciate all my friends that I've met throughout my life. They're some really important people to me, and I couldn't live life without them.
Yeah, Mr. Sylvain is an awesome cross-country coach, best coach I've ever met, so definitely a shout out to him.
Mr. Rosso was a fun teacher. He actually made me enjoy English throughout all my English, and yeah, he was probably one of my favorite teachers.
I would like to give a shout out to Miss Silva for all the Power Block memories, and Mr. Cray for Ski Club, and Miss Oliveira and Miss Fougere for making me love Spanish.
I have a special thank you for Mrs. Oliveira, because she's always very helpful, and she gave me a Spanish award for not knowing Spanish.
I'd like to say thank you to my two coaches, Graz and Mr. Sylvain, and a teacher who has helped me a lot throughout the years, Miss Oliveira.
I'd like to thank Mr. Cray. Just him helping me with the camera field and the editing field helped me really understand what I love doing.
I kind of want to just thank Pope and Hyde for kind of making everything fun between softball or just power block, and then Campagna and Stefano for teaching me sports more than what I already know and talking baseball with me.
Definitely want to thank all my friends because they've always been there for me, and I've always loved Mr. Finley. He's the best art teacher.
I would like to recognize Mrs. Brogna because she has always supported me with everything, and we get along really well. She's been my power block teacher, and I've had her for a science class almost every single year. And Mr. Cray because without taking his classes, I never would have known that I want to go into the film industry, and I'm now majoring in film and hope to be a director.
I'd like to give a thank you to all of my friends for getting me through the year and making it worth the high school. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Finley for being such a great teacher.
Yeah, well, definitely my friends, the teachers, just the people who made it special to me and my family for sure.
I'd like to thank all my friends because they've been great, carried me through this, all of high school, and also for Mr. Sylvain and Mrs. Edlum. They really were the best teachers in this school.
I would have to say that every single teacher I've had is just about as equally, thankable because every single one of them has managed to influence me and shape my day as much as any other person, so.
I want to give a shout out to Mr. Rosso for being a really cool guy. Pretty cool dude.
My thank you goes to Mr. D, Ms. Fougere, Mrs. Oliveira, Mr. Walsh, Mr. Winchell. Yeah.
My special thank you would probably go to my sister and like my family.
Thank you to Miss Walsh for getting me through the senior year.
A special thank you I would have for somebody at WB is definitely Mr. Rosso because he has helped me become a much better writer, and my parents for keeping me grounded and always supporting me.
Big special thank you to Mrs. Folan for the time that she was here, and Mr. Gerlach, who did a wonderful job of teaching us our sophomore English year.
Yeah, I would like to shout out to a couple teachers, Mr. Walsh, Mr. Rosso, Mr. McMurray, Mr. Cray, Graz, and Mrs. Pankowski for making my high school career so memorable.
Special thank you goes to the freshman cheer team and Coach Pennington. Love you, girl.
I would give a special thank you to Mr. Rosso because he's a great teacher, very funny guy. To Miss Fougere because she's the sweetest human being ever, and to Miss Pennington for allowing me to be on the cheer team even though I got rods in my back.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a major shout out to Mrs. Finley because he's a great art teacher and probably the most kind teacher I ever met so far in life. Mr. Rosso for being a nice teacher also. And that's about it.
Probably have to say the person that I'm most thankful for is Mr. Rosso.
Yeah, I would say thank you to Coach Kobler and Mrs. Brogna.
I want to say thanks to Miss Fougere just for always being there and being so helpful.
I want to say thank you to Brogna because she helped me out a lot when I was new here in my first year here.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Jim Pooler, boys soccer coach. And we came in when I was a freshman, and we've just been winning games ever since.
I want to shout out Mr. Finley. I love you, Mr. Finley. You're a great guy. I love you. It's my senior year. You made it complete. I love you, man.
I want to give a special thank you to Mr. Sylvain for being the best teacher I've ever had. It's crazy to me to think that I learned BC calculus this year, but hey, you're a great teacher, so you really made it stick for me. And then also for being the best cross-country coach, the best coach I've ever had. Your dedication to the sport is just amazing, and I appreciate you. My second thanks goes to Mr. Cray for being my favorite teacher. I can't express to you how much I appreciate you teaching TV3. You took a class of 9 students who weren't really friends and made them inseparable. This class is amazing. You had us get work done, but also had us have so much fun. The parties that we had in your class, it was like a flashback to elementary school. It was amazing. I appreciate that. And my third thanks goes to Mr. Rosso because all my life I've hated English, and your class was just so much fun. I can't even believe I'm saying that. Yes, I loved 11th grade English. Thank you. Miss Brogna, thank you so much for accepting me in drama, even though I'm not musically inclined, I'm the worst dancer, I'm the worst singer. I had never felt more comfortable than at my time in drama. It was so much fun, so thank you. And finally, I just want to thank the teachers as a whole, administration, Mrs. Page and Mr. Frost for this year. I know that it wasn't the best circumstances, but you guys really made it great for us, and I appreciate that, so thank you.
Thank you to part Mr. Rosso. I took his freedom? No, Hero's Journey class, and I think that kind of opened my eyes to a few things, and also to Mrs. Walsh, because although she can get on me a lot of times, it makes me get my work done. So
I want to give a shout out to Mr. Rosso. He made my junior year very memorable. That class, AP Lang, was a lot of fun, so thank you, Mr. Rosso. I'd like to give a shout out to Brog because she gave me a really good opportunity to be the lead in a play, which I never thought I would do, and yeah, I'm really grateful.
Thank you, Miss Macmillan, for always starting our day with a big smile.
I want to thank Miss Brogna for always motivating me and for pushing me into the direction of going into the medical field.
to give a special thank you to Miss Pope and Mrs. D. Simone for being my school moms.
I would like to say thank you to Mr. Finley for letting me go into his classroom every single block this year. And letting me do pottery and use all of his supplies. Shout out to Graz for always making me laugh, Mrs. Pankowski for always giving me a hard time in the best way possible, and shout out for Brog for just always being proud of me.
Special thank you. I want to thank Mr. Rosso in his AP junior class. He gave me a lot of confidence in my writing and in my capabilities.
I guess I'd like to thank Mr. Finley for being the best art teacher in the world. He is so sweet and so supportive, and I think of his classroom as like a safe space for everyone.
Mrs. Brogna, I've had her 3 out of my 4 years for high school science, and she's really pushed me all the way through, and she also convinced me to do drama club, and I had a lot of fun with that.
I want to say thank you to Mr. Finley for being so kind and opening up a space for a ton of different students and offering up like resources and materials for artwork. It's been really supportive in me in my creative process and just personally.
Thank you that I would like to give to 2 people is Mr. Finley for always being there to let me complain and go to his room during my intern block, and to Mrs. Brogna for showing me what I want to do for the rest of my life.
I'd like to give a shout out to Miss Silva for making our class fun this year.
A special shout out I would like to make to Mr. Sylvain for just giving good advice during practice and good speeches to everyone.
Give a shout out to Mrs. Walsh for always helping me with my schoolwork and keeping me on top of my work.
I would like to give a shout out to Miss Walsh because even in my struggle days of doing hard homework and math, she was always there to help me no matter what.
I'd like to do a special thank you for Mr. Sylvain for coaching me in cross country for 6 years and being a fantastic math teacher my senior year.
My tutor that I've had since the 7th grade, Miss Francescelli, she's been a real one.
Shout out to Mr. Finley for making it the chillest class in the school.
The Graz, shout out to Mr. Nanopoulos, all the teachers in general. They all did a great job, at least while I was here, you know. Mrs. Page has been great. Mr. Frost has done awesome his first year, so yeah.